Welcome to the Jen Cares Powered by Chosen Live podcast, a podcast that brings the community to you. Each week, we feature a guest that will help us stay in the know. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, and share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now here's your host, Jen Cares.
You know what? I be thinking I'm a musician in my head, and I'm not. But sometimes I got it, and I had a little bit right there, friends. So welcome to Jen Cares, powered by Chosen Counselors, where we bring the community to you. I am your host, Jen Cares, and the founder of Chosen Counselors, a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire, motivate, empower, and strengthen individuals and families. As always, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in, for liking, for sharing, for commenting, and supporting the cause. I do truly appreciate each and every one of you. I want to say special thanks to Gary and Anna Marie Warren for joining us a couple of weeks ago for our Do But Not Yet episode. And friends, y'all be sure to refer to A, okay? They had a good time over here, and I was so happy to have them. Last week, we took off in honor of my birthday, and let me tell you, it was really an amazing week. I can't tell you how important self-care is. And I posted as I reflected over the weekend how things went. I said, I got to stop sleeping on me. God has blessed me with the ability to help others, specifically in the area of addressing mental health and being connected to services that can help them succeed. And it all really came from my schooling. I went to school to become a social worker because I knew that people needed services. But then I found out that they needed somebody to talk to. Well, I went to school to be a therapist because the therapists, they still need services. So it all goes hand in hand. And I'm so grateful to be able to offer services such as this and conferences and all that jazz to each and every one of you. I'm no longer doubting my ability because we are doing the thing, okay? I want to say thank you to each and every person that attended our Day of Empowerment. Woo! Oh, it was so good. And the recap is now available on our YouTube channel. So go over to YouTube and type in Chosen Counselors. That's Chosen with a Z, and you can see a recap of everything that went down. Well, just a little bit, because you had to be there to really get the whole deal of what went down. It was so amazing, and it was funny. I was sharing with our guests tonight that even the vendors were saying, like, when you're doing this again, I needed this. And that right there was like the cherry on top, because your attendees are saying they enjoyed it. But vendors, they came to get a couple of coins, but they was like, no, I needed this. They were asking questions and engaging. And again, I am so excited that we were able to do such a thing as that. So what does it look like? What's coming next since they asked? It's like a mental health series I'm going to be doing. So it's a mental health end. So whatever that end is, if it's an end for you, you be sure to make sure that you tune in. So yes, May. May is the month, and the theme is help a sister out. I'm the sister. Why? Oh, I need help. I need help too sometimes. And every year as my birthday comes around, I like to evaluate my life. Tonight, my year in review continues. I reflect on my highs, I reflect on my lows, my wins, my lessons, and I take a moment to reflect on tonight's topic, the battles of the year. Those lessons, those things that I thought would take me out. Over the holidays, I had tested positive for COVID, and the enemy likes to play mind games. So many did not make it to the other side of COVID. It was a trying time for many people, but I'm so grateful that I did make it through. And what I learned in that is that there are some things that I could survive that somebody else didn't survive. I have to take joy in that. I got to be humble in that and grateful in that, because it could have went another way, but God didn't see fit. So friends, because we have survived those things, it lets us know that we are shatterproof. I'm reminded of the scripture, Isaiah 54:17, and I want to share from the Amplified version. It said, "No weapon that is formed against you will succeed, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you will condemn. This peace, righteousness, security, and triumph over opposition is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. And this is their vindication from me, says the Lord." And it was funny because I saw the meme the other day, and the guy had made it to heaven, and he was asking about those weapons that felt like they did prosper, whatever that felt like they did succeed. And I could go in my Rolodex, I'm telling my age, but I could pull some receipts of how he has not left me. And I'm so glad that he never will. Why? Because we are Shatterproof. And our guest tonight wrote a book about called Shatterproof. So we're going to learn a little bit more about that, and it's going to be good. But friends, I am so, so grateful. I was also reminded, even yesterday in church, I'm a church girl, always going to talk about Jesus. I love him. If I offend you, mute me, come back. But I promise it'll bless you if you stay just a little while longer. And the song we sang was You Made a Way by Travis Green. It said, when our backs were against the wall and it looked as if it was over, you made a way. I'm talking about Jesus. He made a way. We're standing here only because he made a way. Friends, again, I'm not ashamed to say I'm standing here, sitting here only because God made a way. And there are some times when I wanted to throw in a towel. Sometimes I wanted to end my life. Yep, I wanted to give up. That kind of give up. People have been there, but we don't always talk about it. And that's what we talk about over here, tough topics. There's some times that I wanted to give up. There's some times that I thought I wouldn't make it. Sometimes I thought my life was ending, but it's only because God made a way. And I'm grateful. Why? Because it showed me, that I am Shatterproof. And friends, you are too. So help me welcome tonight. We have the amazing Dr. Tasha. Let me find an image. Here we go. Dr. Tasha Wilson, and it's going to be good. So buckle your seatbelts and get ready. I don't know where I got that from. I'm excited. It's been a while. I love y'all. Here we go. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Hey.
I'm having a ball over here. Put myself together. Oh, it's such a good day. How are you feeling today?
I am doing well. It's my week has started off really great. I can't complain. We had some beautiful weather over the weekend. So yeah, feeling amazing.
Some beautiful weather over the weekend. This little heat thing that's going on. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. It's making me a little nervous about the summer. But we're gonna make it. So over here at Jen Cares, we always start with a quote of the day. And today's quote of the day is sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. Marilyn Monroe. Let me read that again. Sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. What's your thoughts on that?
That is the story of my life. So it's funny because you know how sometimes you just get so content with the way things are and how things go, and you're like, I'm good. I'm okay with the way it is. And then you have no idea that there's more for you or that you have access to more because you're just kind of going with the flow of what's happening. And so for me, I was just really comfortable. And I had to get uncomfortable to get unstuck in order to realize that there was more to me and more within me. And so, yeah, I had to face the odds. I had to deal with a lot of opposition that I didn't think I would deal with in order for me to understand the magnitude of who I was really called to be. So, yeah.
Ooh. Access. She said a whole bunch right there. We're going to sit here for a moment before we move on any further. She said access to more. Sometimes we don't even know we have access to more.
Mm-hmm.
That was the book of trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. And we really have access to make $1 out of 15 cents, but we don't even know the potential and capacity that we really have. See, and this is why I reflect on life during this month, because I was like, what else can I do? What else can I pull out of this brain of mine? And going with the flow, that one is a big one. I actually shared at the conference, I was saying how specifically females, sometimes we get in that survival mode. We're just doing things and don't realize, oh, wait, I cut myself. You just kind of like wrap it up and keep it going. But sometimes that cut requires a little bit more attention. We can't always go with the flow. We have to take that moment to pause and say, is everything good? If something's hurting, we like, oh, just work it out. It'll work out. But sometimes we got to take that pause and say, wait a minute. Is everything really okay? Oh, it's just heartburn. Oh, no, that could be something different. Oh, it's just gas. Oh, it could be something different. I don't know why gas came, but but that's what happens. It's something small. We minimize it and not know that it's so big. But then you say unstuck. I mean, And we just said that we like go with the flow and things of that sort. But
Yeah.
still sometimes we stuck in that,
Yeah.
not knowing that we could do something else. Talk about that. How did that process work for you to even get out of being stuck?
So I had to recognize that I was stuck in the first place. Because I was just so accustomed to checking the boxes and doing things as business as usual, because that's all I knew, that's all I saw. So I thought that was the norm. And then I didn't realize that, honestly, I was withholding a lot of things that God had granted me access to. And that's when I realized that I was stuck. Like I had the potential, but I was afraid to scratch the surface. It was just kind of like,
let me write that down. Had the potential to scratch the surface. And I want to talk about this stuckness, but the surface don't even. It's like when I made some turkey wings today, right? I put it in a crock pot, right? And when you first touch the surface of it, it's like, oh, that thing is seasoned nice. But when you really get in there, that thing was falling off the bones. So if we go beyond the surface, imagine.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And, you know, it's like you don't really know how great you are, right? Because you're just afraid to step out of the what if, right? And it's like, for me, I knew that I was stuck because I kept going through these repetitive cycles. And I'm like, I'm expecting different results, but I'm not. I'm changing faces with people. I'm changing situations, but it's still the same outcome. So what has to be done differently for me to get the results that I desire? And so when I had that aha moment, like, okay, Tasha, it starts within. It starts with you. You're looking outside. You're looking at external factors, and you're trying to change that, but you haven't changed anything within yourself. So that's where I had to start shifting a little bit. It had to start with my mind. I had to really stop speaking to myself negatively, because it's true. What you say, you hear. And then once you hear it, you believe it. And then you start acting upon it, right? And so I got tired of living in the mindset of defeat. I really got tired of missing opportunities because I was afraid of what if. And I honestly didn't think I deserved anything better because of my history.
Pause. Because of my history. And the crazy part is this, right? We've all been through some things.
Yeah.
That if the fly on the wall could really talk.
Listen.
We be in some Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's really like when the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yes.
He starts off really subtle, and then we just are dismissive to those hints. And then we maximize upon those hints and make it bigger than what it is. We give him too much power and authority. And so I really believed the lies that he was feeding me. And so for me, I allowed my history to become my present. And so that's how I knew, okay, Tasha, you need to get unstuck. If you want your future to be way different than how you've been operating, you got to change some things.
She said so much right there, friends. But you know, when you was talking about those words and how like we believe in those things, and you know, growing up as kids, they say sticks and stones and break my bones, but names will never hurt me. That's a lie.
A lie.
Because not just the names they say, because if they looking on the outside and they see the stuff that I'm thinking I'm already dealing with on the inside, I'm like, well, maybe they know what they're talking about. But it's not until we get unstuck.
Yeah.
You know, friends, I have prepared some questions, but if y'all have any questions or comments, y'all be sure to drop them below. Jasmine is saying this is good, ain't it? Already good. Already good. Thank you all for joining us, friends. Again, engage in this conversation, because I'm gonna eat up all these crumbs that you're dropping, these nuggets and things, because it's gonna help us to have life and have that more abundantly. So, Tasha, tell us about yourself. Who is Tasha?
So believe it or not, Tasha is very reserved, introverted. And so I think it's hilarious how God is calling me to extroverted spaces where I have to show up. I have to really be up front and center. I was always one that just would rather be in the background. I always been a pusher and nurturer. I'll give somebody else the tools and say, you go for it, you do it. And God is like, yeah, okay. Plot twist. So grew up, I am an Eastern Shore native, believe it or not. A lot of people didn't realize that when we were at UPS. They just really identified me elsewhere. But no, yeah, born and raised. I am, let's see, I graduated from UMES. Then I went
whole pride.
Towson and then Morgan. And then last stop is Liberty University. So as you can see, I'm a lifelong learner. I love academia. Round the clock, I'm a Title IX case manager at Towson University. So I really am living my life in full circle right now. This is a new season for me that I've always knew would come. But now that it's here, it's like, wow, okay, God, you told me this and I'm now walking into it. It's amazing. Of course, I'm an author, international best-selling author at that. So I have 4 standalone books, and then I'm a co-author of 1 book. So that's who I am.
Yes. So, in being an author, what was that process like? Because I shared at our day of empowerment that I'm going to be doing a book. It's not okay. I'm not downplaying it at all. It's a planner journal, and it's still processing it because it's about self-care, mental health, because we always talk about that. A little bit of fun too, and things that sort. But what was that process in writing a book like? Was it an easy process for you? Because it's some books with me, I know, and I be like, I don't really want to tell all my business because when it's out there, people don't know how to handle it, or they do, but it ain't about me. You're right, it's gonna help the people. Okay, but you tell me your process. He just told me my process. I got to do it, I guess.
So it was something that I thought was like hilarious when God was like, you need to put this out here, and I was like, what? So. My first 2 books, really, and I tell people all the time, my first 2 books, I really feel like that's where I was recognizing the power of my voice. And then the last 2 is more so me embracing the power of my voice. So, once you like read all 4, you can kind of see the transition. You can kind of see the transformation take place. So like the first 2, it was more so me trying to figure out, okay, who do I want to sound like? What do I want to sound like? What do I want to say? Does anyone care to hear what I have to say? Because, I was very private. And so for me, it was one of those things where writing was always therapeutic for me. But then God is like, okay, if you're holding them close to you and you're not really allowing other people to see it, what good is it? Right. And so that's how I was like, okay, all right, okay. I'm gonna put it out here, and I'm just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just gonna say what I need to say right from my heart and see the response. And so I've always been that person. I'm the one who carries a journal everywhere she goes. I always have pen and paper, like thoughts just come through my head all day long. So I'm the type that when nighttime comes, I'm like, all right, Tasha, you got to get into this regimen to quiet your mind because thoughts run in my head all day. And, it was, to me, I feel like now that people know and they're more aware of my writing capabilities, I feel like it's a little more challenging than before. The first time people kind of treated it as a casualty. It was just kind of like, oh, this is just somebody else who's just doing an idea. And then it's like, oh, wait, she's serious, And then after that, I'm really putting it all out there. Like, I'm just really authentic in what I have to say. But now I'm coming from a healed place. So book 3 and book 4 is just more of me pouring out. I've dealt with this, but this is what I learned in this. And now I'm overcoming this. And this is how I can help you do the same. Versus the first 2 books, it was just me writing all the hurt and all the pain. And that was it. But there was really no resolve. It was just kind of like, okay, this is how I felt in that moment. And that's that. But the growth of it all, it really helps me, like life experiences. It's really what keeps me going. It's just kind of like, all right, if you feel like this, I'm sure others feel that way, but they don't have the language for it. And so now I've really gotten to the point of recognizing who God has called me to be and why, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that I'm in a unique position where it's like, okay, yes, I've called you to speak to the nations and do all of this, but I also need you to reach people that you've never met and you're writing to. And so finding that balance of both. And so it's really about disciplining yourself. And even days when I didn't feel like it, I kept going because I knew that it was beyond me, you know.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's how it works. Even when it was like 3 o'clock in the morning and God is dumping a whole chapter, I'm like, oh, okay, hold on, let me get myself together.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, and not rolling over and pressing
Mm-hmm.
snooze, right? Because God is speaking, even if it comes out differently than how others may talk to God. It's like, okay, He's waking you up for a reason. It's something that you need to say.
Mm. Whew. I love that you shared about that heal place, because what happens is in the first two books that you were sharing, like, you're sharing this is what happened, this is how I felt, things that sort. Oftentimes we stay there. It's kind of like that pity party of woe is me.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the process of coming from, yeah, that was me. But now let me tell you. So it was almost like a chapter book. That was chapter 1, that was chapter 2. Now chapter 3 touching how I made it over. Chapter 4 is saying how I'm still going strong, Chapter
Yeah.
5 and 6 is loading. But that piece of really identifying that, and that's so hard sometimes, because even on social media, let's use that example, people could post a lot of different things, and sometimes it's not always from a healed place.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not careful, sometimes people perceive it wrong.
Yeah.
But we got to be careful, friends, because sometimes we post things that has nothing to do with us. It just resonated with, like, oh, that makes sense, or I've been there before and I know what they're talking about. And then there are some times where people are really there, and that's a different situation, and pray that discernment kicks in to let you know if you should check in with that person or not. But again, that growth, that process of, I was here, but I'm not here anymore. How
Yeah.
was that coming out of that cocoon to be able to share and knowing that difference too? That now chapter 3 and 4 is, I'm healed. I'm growing up. I'm a teenager now in this thing.
Yeah, I think for me, it was more about giving myself grace. So I was so quickly to give it to other people, but not myself. And it was about being honest with myself too, saying it's okay to have those moments,
Yes.
but what are you going to do after you pick yourself back up? Right. And so I just knew that I couldn't walk around carrying the weight of the expectations of others on my shoulders. I couldn't carry the weight of having an old mindset, but trying to go into a new place. It just didn't work,
Oh, wait a minute. Because she's dropping. We got to pause on some of these things. Because it talk about, you made me think of like them wine. You can't keep an old wine, a new wine in an old bottle. It ain't gonna work out. The mixture ain't gonna go too right. What I used to want to do, I can't do it no more. It's a difference. But
it is.
Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm looking at what. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so it just wasn't working anymore. And so it's like, if you really say that you want new and you really want to do things differently, it starts with what you manifest. And so I always say it's like you exercise your mind like a muscle. The same way that you prepare for an exam, or the same way that you prepare for, like, I don't know, a fitness challenge, because everybody talking about summer body ready, right? But the thing is, you don't wait until a certain season to prepare. You always have to be in preparation. You can't receive a harvest if you're not preparing. You can't receive the reward if you're not willing to do the work. And so for me, I just had to recognize that alignment was my portion. So I'm like, okay, you over here talking about this newness, and you're talking about the things that you desire, and you're talking about how you want God to move. But if you still have this old mindset of you're not even creating any space for him to move, it's like, how does that work? 1 + 1 is not equaling 2,
If you're not creating space, if you're not taking the time, oh, I want to eat better, I want to do better, but you still buying the groceries that's not good. And I know prices have gone up, but it's the sacrifice that you make. Prices have gone up on gas, and we still putting it in our car, crying, fighting, sweat, tears, everything with it. It's that sacrifice. And sometimes we struggle with being honest because it causes so much more, you know. It takes so much more, but it's actually freeing. You know, you talk to somebody and if they telling you a story, they got to do so much work to keep up with that story. Because they tell you one thing, tell somebody else something different, tell somebody else, and then y'all randomly get together, but like, that ain't adding up. It's easy to be honest or say, you know what, I don't want to share. Friends. If you don't want to share, just say you don't want to share. Don't do no storytelling. Don't be lying. You know, I get in conversations and it'd be like somebody like, oh, I lied. That's not right. And I'm fixing it, whatever it is. Or I'm joking around, but like, I can't lie. I don't do very well. So I avoid it if possible so that I don't have to tell because you also want to do stuff in decency and love. That's me. But yeah, being honest. So Shatterproof. Shatterproof is the topic of tonight. Is that your last book, your most recent book?
Yes, it is.
How did that one come about? This refocus. Why did you feel like you had to refocus? So you got to refocus when you tell all these stories, friends.
Listen, so I'm at a place in my life now where I can just feel okay. So every other area in my life, I'm like, okay, I always put my time and invest in my career. I always put my time and invest in family, but I never really fully put time and investment into relationships as far as, you know, romantic. And you know, I had went through this process of being in relationships that just no longer serve me, you know, and I understand that how I thought about relationships then, they were not healthy. So it made sense why I was in those relationships. But now that I no longer have a filtered view of what love is or what you know, walking with someone in purpose looks like, I was just like, okay, Tasha, we're now getting honest in this area of ourselves. Like, what was it that it was so hard for you to release first in order for you to expand, right? And so Shatterproof, refocusing the lens, was like, okay, you really need to take a deep dive of unlearning the things that you were once taught about relationships. And that comes from, you know, the church.
Wait a minute. Now we're getting heavy here. Because those things we learned, though it may have been tried and true for somebody else, doesn't mean it's tried and true for you, is all I'm saying. Continue.
Yes. You know, unlearn things that you see on social media, these TV shows, people in your ear that you consider to be a part of your village. You know, sometimes they mean well, but
come on.
And you know, so really taking account of that, really unpacking all of that, right? Because one thing I really talk about in Shatterproof is that you really have to become unbreakable to what everyone else is saying, what everyone is trying to project onto you. Some people expect you to mirror their experiences, but that's not what God has for you. And so people would often view my accomplishments in other areas. And so they feel like because I don't have a partner yet, they're like, so what are you doing wrong? It was one of those.
I got so many comments that I want to say right here. So a couple weeks ago, the theme was I do but not yet. It was around that too, like being single and like just the different things you're doing and like just comments people make consciously, unconsciously, disrespectfully and respectfully, more so on the disrespectful side. And those words sometimes can make you doubt who you are. Like, am I not worthy and things of that sort? And I don't want to touch a lot on this, but I've heard, dang, Gwen, here we go. She out there now, Jen. You out there.
Yeah.
Someone was saying how even some women were considered to be leftovers and things of that sort. And I didn't listen to the whole thing. I don't not agree with some things that they say. I think sometimes tough love comes tough and we don't want to hear it sometimes. And that makes us like rub us the wrong way. But iron sharpens iron, and iron is not always a smooth process. I actually want to find that clip to hear the whole thing. But from that part that I heard is somebody could say that and we think that that's worthy, but whose report will you believe?
Right.
We believe in God or we believe in man. And sometimes men can say some things that are to hurt us because of jealousy, and it really does love company, and we got to get away from that kind of company because that's not helping us to grow and flourish and be that which we believe we are to be. And it's friends, if you are married, God bless. If you be thinking about what should I be with this person still and they get on my nerves, God bless, work it out. If you can, go see a counselor and things of that sort. But to my singles who do desire, it's really that process of waiting on God and knowing that whatever season of life you're in, you are right on schedule. When it should happen, it will happen. If it happens out of sync, then it's a whole nother thing to get that thing back on track. And sometimes we jump it because we want it, we need it, and then we still got to get back on track. So again, trust your process, seek those that can help you through that process, but know that you are still the mom.com, whether you haven't made or not. If you want one, believe God, I stand in agreement with you that you'll get them. But most importantly, that you'll know how to keep it and maintain it. Because sometimes we want something and I went to another pool. Go ahead, Tasha, your turn.
Look, that part, okay? And it's so funny because I'm telling you, basically touch everything that's in that book. Like, and I always talk about how people are so concerned with that one particular area in my life. Like it becomes to the point that they idolize that part of my life. And I'm like, how are you?
That one part, like all the amazingness that you're doing.
Yes. And it was hard for them to believe that I was genuinely happy in my singleness, right? And I'm like, there is a such thing to be single by choice. And for me, I had to make that commitment to myself. I can't fully make a commitment to someone else if I don't know how to commit to me. I can't really love someone if I don't really love me. I can't really have the capacity to know how to handle conflict in a healthy way or communicate effectively my needs if I'm unable to meet them myself. And so that is the premise of the book, and really recognizing that I don't want to be focused on a wedding. I want to be focused on a marriage. I don't want to be consumed with being a bride. I want to be a wife. And that takes work. That is an investment. And so for me, I'm looking at this. Look, the man that God has for me, he's going to accept all of me. I don't need to minimize who I am. I don't need to sit back and feel like I got to hide and conceal. Been there, done that. I'm at the point in my life where I authentically love who I am. So that means if I do that, then my partner is just going to be jumped right in. Like, okay, that's my wife. That's who she is, And I've been in situations where my leadership was intimidation to the person I was with. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That's who God has called me to be, right? And you do that when you came and tried to chase me. There's a difference with being chased and pursued.
Come on.
And I just know that in my heart, and God has always told me that I would be partnered with purpose. And I believe that, and I stand firm on that. So I'm just not going to rush it. I'm not going to allow other people to eradicate what my timeline should look like, because I know that when you do things yourself instead of allowing God to lead, it's just going to go wrong. It's just going to go wrong. So
you said intimidation. And it's interesting because whether romantic relationships, regular relationships, friendships, platonic things of the sort, intimidation is real. And it's not, you don't, I can only say how it's coming. You're not even doing anything intentional. You're just being who you are. And because other people lack confidence in themselves or don't know the gifting and the capacity, or that they have access to more, or they're stuck in things of that sort, it makes you look like the bad guy. But I promise, if you change your perspective, if you change your outlook of what you're seeing and saying, hey, can you help me? Can you encourage me? How can I do that? And things of that sort. Because, hey, I'm trying to help everybody. I want us all to get to the top. Somebody reach out to me like, oh, how you do this? Bam, 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 this is how you do it. Why? Because how you do it and how I do it, one is going to be two different things. It doesn't hurt me. You're going to see somebody that I won't see. So to know that I helped you, I really did help somebody else too. And that's the mindset that you want to have of not being intimidated, just being who you are. Because the other hard part of being or trying to lessen yourself because somebody is intimidated by you, then you're not being truly you.
Yeah.
So then you balling that all up, and then when you finally go off, they're like, "Wait, who are you?" I was the interview version. The interview version. No, this the real me. That ain't me. And then that's a whole nother battle you got to go through. But
Yeah.
it's so much to unpack there.
Yeah, and what people fail to realize, the me that you see now, it took a lot of work.
That part.
It did, because there was a point in my life where I hated myself, right? Where they just, and it's always one of those where, people kind of see the glory, but they don't know the story.
Come on.
It's like we see where you are right now, but you don't know the process that took me here. And for me, because I appreciate that process, you're going to respect who I am right now in this moment. And it's just one of those things. Like, I remember I used to plead with God, like, because I'm a sexual assault survivor. That's a lot to handle, right? But if it's with the right person, it won't be a lot to handle.
Right.
And so I used to plead with God, like, do I shut that part out about my life to present myself to somebody, right? To have this conversation. And God is like, that's a part of your journey. Why would you hide that? Why would you hide it? You don't hide it when you help other survivors that are in the position that you once were in. So why would you hide that from your partner, somebody that you're supposed to trust? So,
and I will say that's so important. From a lot of couple work I've done, sometimes if you don't share that, they don't understand the battle that you're going against, so they can't really be there to support you.
Right.
Great work to do when everybody's open, but I understand too that the victim, the survivor, that is surviving has their process to go through, but just offering that support of that significant other who you say you want to be with, who you love, let them know a little bit so they know how to help and support you through their process too. So definitely, friends, if you've been in a situation, you do want to explain that to your significant other, because they could be lost and our expectations get messed up because what we think they should be doing, they're not doing, because they don't know that you need a little extra TLC.
Yeah.
Okay. So important. So important. But that's it. They don't know the story of how you got there. In opening up, I was sharing like the Shatterproof. There was times that I went in my life. There was times that I felt like, what's the purpose of this? Or like, maybe I shouldn't do. Maybe I should go out and do dip. You fill in the gaps with the dots that you thought of doing, friends, because I ain't telling you. You got some things too. But what I'm saying is, you don't know how blood, sweat, and tears took me to get through that, to say, look, it's better for you, Jennifer. You can't give up yet. And then it's that one person that come be like, oh man, you're just so I'm like, if you only knew. Like, this last night I was crying. It was like, you so strong, you waiting, you really. I was like, if you only knew. Why? Because I refuse to get back into some situations that I used to be in, because I found out that they weren't no good for me. There I was, Shatterproof. I mean, I wasn't Shatterproof. I was easy to break. Like, what you want me to do? Yeah, I can do, doing all these different things, Matrix and all that stuff, to conform to somebody else's expectation of what Jennifer should be doing. But it wasn't until Jennifer found out, wait, you're better than this.
Yes.
Now they can say stuff. It don't really bother them anymore. You say like the feelings on your sleeves and things, drop it down, you be crying. I'm a strong soldier right there, because I gotta be ready. I don't know what's going to happen. Not fighting, you just getting ready for whatever is happening, is what I'm saying. But then, like, you have your moment later, I'm like, dang, God, that kind of hurt, but I didn't fall like I could have. I could have cussed them out.
Okay.
I could have tripped them. I could have, whatever it is that you could have, should, would have did, you didn't do, and that's that growth, and that's that glory of the story that you have become.
Okay, because people don't understand. It's so funny because, everyone always tells me I have such like a peaceful presence, and I'm like, you have no idea how I used to react and not respond, right? And it's work, and it's a continual work.
Continual work. It is. I like Jasmine Sullivan. Every girl can sing, and she has a song, "I Bust the Windows Out Your Car."
Yes.
If we are all honest, there has been a time that we wanted to bust some windows out somebody's car. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not what you want to do. You wanted to punch somebody in their face. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not what you wanted to do. You wanted to put your foot out to cause them to trip. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not what you wanted to do. Whatever it is you want to do, we all been there. And that's what I'm saying. We all have the capacity to go left sometimes.
Yeah.
It takes growth so that we don't have to do that all the time. When we wanted to tell that person off, it takes growth. When we can say, you know what? God bless. Have a good day. It takes growth because we can't always respond how we want to respond in certain situations because it messes us up in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Look in social media world, there's a lot of people that do these things. We can't always react so quickly, friends. We got to take that pause. That's the growth. The growth. It's hard too because sometimes I'm
Yes.
sad. If you just give me 5 seconds, that's all I need.
Just 5.
It's 5. But the growth has taught me that God can get them back way better than I can if they even need to be got.
Okay. Yes.
So, what if that was to teach me? What if that was a test to say, hey, can you handle this? Are you really that girl that you say you are?
Okay.
Can you really take away?
Absolutely.
Can you really be the better person, the bigger person? Can you not be Patty Betty today, sis? Bruh, can you
Right.
not? Because somebody is always looking. And I
Mm-hmm.
heard this thing today. It was like, if you're mad at me because of my love for God, be mad.
Yeah.
But if you're mad at me because I messed up God's name or something like that, then we got a problem. And
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Be mad at me because I'm doing what God want me to do. But don't be mad at me for God to be mad at me because I messed up his name. No. I said for God to live, for God to die. I got to get myself together every day. I
Every
can
day.
say what I want to say every day. I gotta pray. I gotta wave my hand, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
help me do my dance, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's maturity. That's growth, friends. And that's what we saying. That's how you get to be shatterproof.
That's it.
Whew. So shattered. Because we have some friends that may be tuning in that are shattered in some areas, and being shattered, broken into many pieces, being exhausted,
Mm-hmm.
Frustrated, feel like you can't go on.
Yeah.
What are some pieces that helped you to get your pieces together, to keep them together and know, no, you forward tough now.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's going to hit you.
Yeah.
It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's not going to break you. It's not going to take you out. What was that? What are some words of that to help our listeners and those that are tuned in?
Oh goodness. So I definitely start my day um intentionally spending time with God. Before it was just like a routine thing. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to spend time with God, so I'm gonna do it, but it doesn't mean anything if you're just checking a box. So really being intentional. No matter how tired you may feel, no matter how early it may be, because there may be times where he wake you up before your alarm clock. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I be trying to get my sleep, and
Yeah,
I understand it. I mean, it ain't always good, but I promise if you do it, it'll pay off in the end.
yeah,
You don't know
and
what awaits you.
right, seriously, and I know for me when I was doing things backwards and not acknowledging God first, the day was a mess. I'm just gonna be quite honest. Like I have receipts where the day was a mess. But and when I say being intentional with spending time with God, that doesn't mean that you have to come to God as someone other than yourself. Because sometimes we have this illusion that we have to say words that we don't even say on a regular. Like you really have this candid conversation with the Word. He already knows anyway, so you might as well, be honest. Outside of that, find something that works for you that helps, recenter yourself or balance or quiet your mind. So for me, I journal in the morning. I have where I'm declaring and decreeing what my day is going to be like, what I anticipate. Because you set the tone and mood for your day. If you're going to say it's going to be a horrible day, guess what? It is, because you didn't already spoke that, right? I drink a hot cup of tea. That's something that relaxes me. I have an affirmation wall that I visibly see. And it's interesting because when I first started using affirmative language, I first had like scriptures and words on index cards around my mirror, because one thing, when I was shattered, I hated mirrors. I didn't like what I saw because I didn't recognize what I saw. And it was easy for me to tear myself down. And so I had to reverse that by doing the opposite. So I had to put positive words around the mirror. And so then it graduated to having a full wall of canvas prints, whether it's scripture, quotes. I'm a lover of language, so that works for me. And it's positioned in a place in my apartment that's the last thing I see before I walk out the door. And saying them out loud, even when it starts feeling weird, keep saying it, because eventually
Yes.
it'll become normal,
Yes.
and you'll enjoy and appreciate it more.
Yes.
We're so quick to tell us, things we don't like about ourselves. Try something different. Start
Mm-hmm.
saying I love you in the mirror, looking at yourself. It may sound weird in the very beginning, but you have to. Because like you always say, once you start saying it, you'll start believing it, and
Believing
then
it.
you'll start living like it. So the things that you desire, the things that you have anticipation for, write those things down, meditate on that.
Yes.
Make sure that you have accountability partners. And this is where discernment kicks in, because everybody that you kiki with is not necessarily your accountability partner. Because you have people that are so comfortable with who you once were that they can't handle who you're becoming. Surround yourself with the people that are already there, or who have that urgency for you to become the real you, not the real that you have presented and perfected as a performance for other people. It's very important when becoming Shatterproof. You want people to speak life into you. So if you're trying to get out of that negative self-talk, you don't want to be around a bunch of negative Nancys. You don't. So it's very important to do that. And sometimes it's okay if you have to be by yourself.
Yeah.
God will send the right people.
Whew. And it's okay if you have to be by yourself. Last week was my birthday, so I took off. I didn't really tell people because it was like I said it was my staycation and things that sort. Nobody knows you're off, but you get to have some time for you, right?
Yeah.
Every day I did something different that I wanted to do, whatever it was. Took myself out to eat, whatever like that. Why? Because I gotta take that moment for me. You have to know what works for you. There are some times where you don't want to be bothered by nobody. And going out to eat with people can be different. A lot of different things can happen depending on how many people it is. When the check comes, people get a little funky. Or whatever happens. But it is something about just going out with yourself, just enjoying the atmosphere and things that sort. So knowing who's around you is so important. Or knowing when you want to be around people. Because sometimes we don't need to be around people, and we around people, and then they don't have the capacity to deal with what we're going through at that moment. At the conference, one of them said, "Don't tell I'm gonna say it wrong. I'm not gonna say it, but basically." The summation of what they were saying was sometimes we say things to people and they don't have the capacity or the mindset of where it is you're going with that. And that is so important of knowing who's around you. Because if I'm on my affirmation kick, if I'm on my Jesus will work it out kick, this is going to be an amazing day. And then I tell you something and it go left, we're like, wait a minute, what happened? I could be having a great day. I got my jams on, like, God, this is going to be a good day. My moments of meditation and things. Somebody called me, well, they did. And I'm like, I was just in a good groove. I was having a good moment. It's sometimes that do not disturb friends. It's your friend. But like when that call ended, I went back to my music and be like, God, it's still gonna be a good day. I had to reaffirm my mind because that one thing can mess you up if we're not careful. And sometimes they are having a bad day. We are that support to them and that kindness to them, that love to them. But guess what? Sometimes I need a moment too. But know how to get yourself back on track when you get off track is what I'm saying. Because sometimes people around you is a blessing and sometimes it's not a blessing. But you got to know what works for you.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot too sometimes because you feel like I'm supposed to be around people. Though we need people, we need ourselves too.
Yeah.
Because you can't be there so much for somebody else and not there for yourself.
Exactly. And that's the importance of boundaries. You have to. Because if you don't set boundaries or even reinforce them, you will continue to give, pour until there's nothing left. And what you don't want to do is give God the remnants because you just gave to everybody else.
Girl, now you cussing. You saying bad stuff. This ain't what we wanted to hear. Even on the highway, there are boundaries. The guardrails, they say, like, you get a little too close, it's going to be a problem. Don't come over here. And sometimes we are just a tad bit too close. Sometimes people not paying attention, they fall asleep and they go off the edge of things. So we have to be alert. It's so important to be alert. When driving, you want to be alert specifically because anything is possible to happen. But in life, we want to be alert because when so many things are happening, God touch the city of Philadelphia, the state of Pennsylvania, the United States of America, and all the surrounding countries. Everybody touches God. But you want to be alert because something can happen at any time. And if you're not ready, we got to be ready.
Yeah.
But our mindset, if we're in a funky mood and we just like in our pity party mess and we can't be there, we're not alert when somebody is taking from us and not adding to us. Because we want those around us to also be alert. Because if I'm having a bad day, Sunshine, I can't hear your story right now. I need you to help me with my story. And that's that part of boundaries too, of knowing when it's time for me to support you, when it's time for you to support me, when we can do it together. Because sometimes I get in a conversation, I'll be like, yep, it's not about me today. Okay. But then when I need to be about me, I know who I can call.
Right.
And then it's keywords. Again, they got to be alert. It's like, wait, you said that. What's going on with you? They're paying attention. So make sure people paying attention to you in these conversations. Whew. It's a lot. This is good. Again, this is my month of how I reflect on life and how things are going, how things could be better. These are things, friends, you got to reflect on too. And again, I do it in my birthday month, but I do it often of like, God, what is going on? Am I doing right? Did I say that right? Did I do that right? Could I do better? It's just breaking me because sometimes something does get in and it feels like it's a crack. I got to tend to that crack quickly.
Yeah.
It's like your windshield. That rock hit you, it gives you a little crack sometimes. God, keep those rocks away. They so disrespectful. But it gives you that little crack, and if you don't tend to it, it grows and it grows and it grows. And if you're in Pennsylvania, you have to get your car inspected every year. They don't pass you for that. In some states, Maryland, I don't know how. I'm my business. But in some states where you don't have to get it inspected every year. But some states you do. But again, a crack like that, you got to get that fixed. So if you do have any cracks, because you thought you were strong in that area and you found out, oh, wait, I'm not as strong as I thought I was. Let's talk about that. When we thought we were strong, like I got this. I'm that chick. I'm that man. I'm that whatever, pumping ourselves up. And somebody comes over and knocks us down a couple of pegs. What's that process like? Because we are ever growing. As you said, we are ever learning. What's that process like, though, to take that humbly and in good spirits? What's that process?
Yeah. So it's so funny because I feel like when you've gotten to a point where you feel you've arrived and you feel like there's nothing else for you to learn, then to me, it's like you are no longer useful for God to do what he needs to do, right? Because if we had it all, we knew it all, then why would we need God? And it's even when God shows us things, he shows us in clips. He doesn't give us the full picture, because if he gave us the full picture in advance, we would do what we want to do to get there faster. And so it's like that when, we think that, oh yeah, I'm good with this. I done passed all these tests. Okay, here's another one. Let's see how you handle this one.
Sure.
And I'm giving it to you in a different way, so you won't even recognize it's a test unless you're alert.
A different way. Hippie, them pop quizzes.
Okay, listen. You thought it was going to be multiple choice this time. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let me see how much you've read for real. Here,
like,
right?
Like, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah.
Bubblegum in the dish. How many bubble? That means you're not it. That's not the answer. And that don't always work all the time.
And then, in those moments, right, where you have been caught off guard, like say if it's miscommunication with someone, right? And you knew that the way that you approached it was not right. You got to go back.
What?
Reflect and then apologize. If you know
I gotta do what?
Wrong, yes, you got to apologize if you are wrong.
What?
Yeah. And that comes with the growth too. Sometimes we don't want to. Our pride is like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
You need to come to me. And God is like, no, I need you to make it right.
Whew. You were saying like that part of needing God, and my pastor preached about that a couple of Sundays ago about how if he told us essentially,
Mm-hmm.
he gives you little pieces because you have to depend on him. He's like, I showed you how you're going to get there, but you're going to need me to get there. You walk
Yeah.
through the valley of the shadow of death, you fear no evil. Why? Because I'm with you. I'm guiding you through. Because it
Mm-hmm.
really can get scary walking in a shadow in that
Mm-hmm.
alley and you don't know what's going on. It
Right.
also then made me think of Ty Trippett. He came out with a song, No Way, some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know right from wrong. Can't even comb my hair. Can't even look upstairs. Can't even walk my walk, talk my talk. There's no way I can make it without God. And
Yeah.
sometimes we think that we can make it without him. And then we find out I need just a little more Jesus.
Okay.
I can't make it on my own.
Mm-mm.
And I'm grateful for that. As stinky as it is, like again, he could tell you you're gonna have bam 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 and you're all excited.
Mm-hmm.
But after you've been living life for a little while and walking this walk with Jesus a little while, you're like, whew, all right, God. If
Mm-hmm.
that's what the end gonna be, help me to get there because I can't do it by myself. Because somebody's gonna try to get me off my game.
Yes.
Somebody's gonna say you're not worthy of it. Somebody's gonna say something, and
Mm-hmm.
my special self might believe it for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
but I gotta go back to whose report what I believe. If he said it, it shall come to pass. The thing is, my clock and his clock
Yeah.
hasn't quite added up in all the years that I've been knowing him.
Mm-hmm.
But when that thing is in sync and it is in order, God be like, all right, it's coming. Just gotta wait a little while longer. Whatever, God, again. But in that process, he's making me, molding me to be that which one be. Make sure I'm ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not ready for it, it's gonna be a problem. A prime example of that is sometimes housing and things of that sort. If you can't, they say make sure you pay your rent, make sure you pay your mortgage. You can put a candle on. You can
Mm-hmm.
buy some water from the store. But make sure your mortgage paid. That way you got a roof over your head. And sometimes it's that little thing that we can't keep together. It's like, well, how can I bless you with this if you can't take care of this little thing?
Exactly.
It's the little things that help us to get to the bigger things, to the bigger things, to the bigger things, to be able
Mm-hmm.
to help and encourage somebody else. Like, hey, I've been there.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I was going just finished my second year, about to go into my third year. During that break, my mom passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Couldn't come back home. Had to finish school. One, because we already started that process. We're gonna finish it.
Right. Right.
There where I quit, and she took me there. That was gold.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the time I was living in a shelter. Like people don't know these things, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought that would kind of break me. It made me stronger.
Yeah.
It wasn't always fun. It wasn't always nice because it was a little while that I stayed there till I got stuff together to be able to move to the next. But it's those experiences that helps us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Those experiences that helps us. Those lows, brings us so high
Yeah.
when we put it in the hand of God. Mm.
Yeah.
Whew, goodness gracious. Some other roads that could lead to one feeling shattered. I've shared about, being homeless or wanting to leave out, lose life and things of that sort. But sometimes lack of housing. That was one, some
Mm-hmm.
financial barriers, it's abuse, sexual, physical, verbal, emotional, financial, cultural, identity, mental, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes accountability could cause us to feel shattered because we go to
Mm-hmm.
people. Let's sit there for a second. We go to people and we want to be held accountable until they're not telling us what we want to hear, how we want to hear, when we want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
That lack of time, poor time management could have us feeling shattered. Education, not having access to options and things of that sort. And when we're in those moments, or we find ourselves on whatever path it is that causes us to feel like I'm about to give up, I'm not going to make it. What are the pieces that you would share with us to know, to be encouraged to know it does get better? Can it get better? I don't know.
Yeah. So something I tell myself every day, I remind myself, I say, Tasha, your life has purpose, your voice has value. I
Mm-hmm.
need you to embrace the greatness within, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's applicable to everything that I face. Like even when it's something that I may not like and it hurts, and I'm like, okay, like I may bend a little bit, but I'm not going to break. And I'm like, okay, God, this hurts, but I trust you in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I still know that my life has purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, okay. Another thing, all right, I still trust you with this. as well as the last thing that I placed in your hands to trust you with. And I still recognize that my voice has value.
Wait a minute. You said as well as the last thing, meaning that you might not have even come through in the last thing, but because I'm trusting for that, I know I'm trusting for this. And whatever else you bring, Lord, I'm trusting you.
Yep.
Because you're not going to leave me hanging. Because if I put my trust in you, you said just have faith the size of mustard seed. I just got to wait the process.
Yep.
Woo.
And when you deal with something currently, you have to remind yourself, wait a minute, God did bring me out of that. So how dare I doubt him to bring me out of this?
How dare I doubt him? Old song you say, you can't make me doubt him in my heart. You can't make me doubt him in my heart. You can't make me doubt him. I know too much about him. You can't make me doubt him in my heart. And it's that track record. It's that benefit of having that journal or that notes in your phone to write down, oh, when God came through with that. Oh, and when God came through with that. I write some stories in my notes on my phone. Don't always do the journal because I lose some things. But the phone, it stays syncs. Apple helps me out by syncing my notes and things. But you write down different pieces. And it's so important because it lets you know, hey, he did this on January 1st, let's say. Something worked out that you've been waiting for years. That you didn't even think would happen, but you had already forgiven the situation. The person said, you know what, I apologize. What? You can't make me doubt him. Why? Because it will come to pass. People have to work their processes too. And sometimes we want something and they're not at the place to really give it to us.
Yeah. It's that instant gratification. And we have to understand that the God we serve is not a microwavable God, right? Because you look at something, right? As simple as a cake. And, you know, they got these cakes now where you can kind of put it in the microwave and they expect you to taste the same as a cake that you would actually bake. It's not going to taste the same. From the outside, it may look the same, but inside, nah. You know, the cakes that you actually bake, it takes time. It takes ingredients. It takes a process. You got to wait till it bakes fully. Then you got to wait till it cools off. And it's more sustainable than the one that you microwave. So it's like, you know, when it comes to having that home cooked meal or going out and get a quick fix at fast food, it's kind of like, what does your appetite really want when it comes to asking God for more? Do you want him to give you something quickly and it doesn't sustain you? Or do you want something that's long lasting?
And there's a difference. You know, even if you're at home and, you know, the pandemic had us home, some of us home a little bit more. And like, depending on what you would cook, like you grab something, it's like something small. But when you really put your foot down in the kitchen and you sit down and eat that, he was like, it's a little extra time, but it was well worth it. It was well spent. Yeah. And that's what it is. Really going through that whole process. I could go and buy a chicken, but it's something about when you cook it. You be like, you be like, you did that, girl. I didn't like that. And I get it. It's cheaper sometimes going by. You don't feel like going through the process of cooking and things. But it's something about when you really do it. That I call it my me time.
Yes.
Because I'm caring about myself. It's that self-care too, and making sure that I know what's going in it.
Right.
Because so many things be happening too in these stores. We were like, I hope they gave it to us right. I don't know. I said my grace. If I didn't, God, let's just, I thank you for whatever food I've had that I didn't say my grace for, that you brought me through, but you know what's going in and things that sort. And that's their process. And we don't always like their process.
Yeah.
It takes too long. I think that's why. Is that why we don't like it? It takes too long. It requires much.
Yeah, that's what it is.
A little bit more money. A little bit more time.
Yeah.
So in that, you get feelings of like frustration and things because things aren't working out how you thought that they would. How long should I stay in those feelings?
So what I say to that, because I've been there, if you stay in those feelings, you won't see change, right? You don't see beyond what you're feeling. You just think, I'm going to put all my energy, my time, and attention to how I'm feeling. And now I'm putting a period where it should be a comma. And, it's one of those things, again, it goes back to how am I functioning? Does it align with the things that I'm saying? Does it align with the things that I say that I believe? And it's like, you can't walk around, as I say, being a Jekyll Hyde. You can't. You just can't. And You know, when you get in that frustration, it's okay to acknowledge that, but you can't dwell there.
Yes.
Because when you get so consumed by that emotion or that frustration, you can't clearly hear from the Lord. Like, God is literally tapping you on your shoulder, like, hello, hey, I'm trying to talk to you. But you're so frustrated because of something not happening the way that you thought. And one thing about being shatterproof is that you have to be okay with whatever outcome it is that God is going to make happen. Because even if something doesn't happen the way you expect it to right now, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen ever.
Wait a minute. I'm having a tantrum for my friends. What? Like what? That's not right. Say it again the way I want to hear it.
And that's another thing too, okay? Because it comes with a lot of things. Like, we really don't understand the blessing in it.
Yes.
Once the finished product comes, we're like, oh, that's why you made me wait, or that's why you made me
girl
the left instead of the right. Okay.
Yeah. And that's the part we don't see the end results. And that's the thing about having a mentor, having somebody that you look up to. They've been on that path a little longer than you. They know a little something. Now, again, we talked about earlier how sometimes people talk from a place where they are in things, but if you genuinely trust this person and feel like they have not steered you wrong and that they really have your best interest in heart, they're not going to always tell you what you want to hear. Prime example, my pastor, he is always in my business when he preaches, and I don't understand how he be following me around and several other people, because I've heard this from other people too. They feel like he be there. But it's that much love that God has for us, where he wants to say, "Huh, wait, what you doing? Don't do that.
Right.
I know you're upset. I know you're tired, but I have not forgotten about you. Oh, I know you wanted that, but that's not what I want for you. If you just hold on a little bit longer." Now, the problem comes when we go above and be like, oh, wait, that wasn't what he wanted. Let me get myself together. Right. And then you open that one, you ain't got to wait much longer because you're going to mess yourself up a little bit by going out the order.
Yeah.
Like doing Kool-Aid, right? And I'm doing Kool-Aid because a friend of mine, she was like, I just love it. I said, I understand. We just got to be careful with that sugar. But if I put the sugar in with the packet and forget the water, what we drinking?
Right.
Everybody doesn't like it with just the packet in the water. I like that because it don't got no flavor. I mean, it's not sweet and things that sort. I do the Crystal Lights, the little packet things, because it's not as sugary. Because sometimes you put sugar in it, it's a different thing. But if you do the whole package, you get the whole experience of how it's supposed to be. That Kool-Aid, that sugar, that water. But sometimes if we miss steps or going above, we messing up. Friends. Don't rush the process. And I'm telling myself that too. With some processes that I want to be happening. I'm like, I want this to be done by now. Right. I want to have this accomplished by now. And it's not really about mates and kids and things of that sort, because sometimes people always think that way. But it does stuff that Jennifer Karen Harris wanted to do.
Yeah.
Wants to do. Needs to do. In my head, I feel like I got to,
Yeah.
So understanding that too. And sometimes we put them at different levels. Oh, no, I'm supposed to be this. I'm supposed to have this. I'm supposed to. But what are you doing to work to get there? What preparation are you doing to be ready for whatever it is that you're trying to do? Forever learning. What else can I learn to make sure that I'm giving all that I can to my chosen friends that tune in? Because I've learned some things. Life has taught me some things, but you always still want to stay in the know. I'm in a program now trying to, doing the process to finish it, not rushing it. But again, always learn different resources, different things to help somebody else.
Yeah.
It's not easy all the time, but you got to keep yourself busy. Keeping yourself busy pays off.
Absolutely.
A good busy.
A good busy, okay? Being productive.
Your own business, not somebody else's business. God bless.
Okay, hello. And that's what I say all the time. If you're actually being productive, you won't be concerned about what everyone else is doing, honestly. You won't have the time, and so...
And even when I do have the time, I'll be like, well, what happened? What they do? I said, wait a minute. I don't even need to know. I'm asking too many questions to situations that I can't help. Let me worry about Jennifer and what Jennifer got to keep together. Because if it ain't helping me, breaking me, all that stuff, I can't do nothing about it anyway. Now, if God told me to help out or something, that's something different.
Okay.
But if it ain't really helping me to make sure that my roof stays over my head, you know, you got to pull back. And sometimes we get ourselves so involved in other people's stuff that we're missing a boat in the ship that we're on to our destiny because we're caught up in that. What's happening on your boat? What's happening on your boat, friend?
And see, and that's another thing too, right? When you think about when we're talking about being productive versus being busy, busyness can become an idol as well. A lot of times people keep themselves busy to not really face or address what they're dealing with.
You're right.
And which also is the cousin to disobedience, because a lot of times we don't understand what we are holding up because of our disobedience. It's either we trying to rush and get there to the finish line without actually doing the work and actually learning what we need to learn, or we're just being busy because we just feel like if I'm not going to look at it, if I'm not going to talk about it, if I'm not going to think about it, it just won't matter, right? And I'm like, so what are you really holding up? And then when you think about it, what are you holding up for yourself and what God wants you to do? But what are you also holding up in others, the ones that are assigned to you? So you got to think about it.
Come on. And that's important too, because like, as you said, yes, in that business, you got to be careful. But I promise you, in my business, he's still be in my business because it'll be like the randomest thing.
Okay.
I'm like, one, a random movie I'll be watching, show I'll be watching. I'm like, how is that my life too? Like, okay, because he has a way of giving it to us. We have to have our ears open, our eyes open to hear it and to see it. And then we have to act on whatever it is that we're supposed to be doing. Because yes, we can sometimes get busy and stuff that ain't got nothing to do with the purpose of our life. But we keep that balance. That part of, you know, having your meditation, that time of seeking God, you know, that time of really getting yourself together of, is this what I should be doing? And that's hard too, because it's sometimes that it's not a bad thing, but it's not something for you to be doing.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing for you to go out and eat. It's not a bad thing. But if it ain't in your budget,
it's a bad thing, sis.
It's not something you should be doing.
You might need to make some adjustments.
And you got to make some adjustments. And it's as simple as that. Sometimes we feel like, oh, no, I got it. I could do it. But no, did we really budget that correctly? And we've all been there. We've all been there where we had a, you know, all right, I guess I'm going to do this time because I messed that up. Or something unexpected came up. But then that's on your grind too of how can I keep, you know, these 7 streams of income they say you're supposed to have to keep that together. But really having that time to evaluate, reflecting on your week. How did today go? Did I give too much? Did I give enough? What overwhelmed me? Some stuff today I was like, oh, I feel like I needed another day off going back to work, and then this happened, and what's going on? I sit and reflect. Why? Because my tomorrow can't be how today was.
Exactly.
My evening couldn't be how the morning was. So there comes a point in time where you got to say, all right, the buck stops here. Yes, that wasn't how I wanted to be, but I did consult God and I said, God, it's going to be a good day. So guess what? Even if it happened and it wasn't what we wanted to happen, it still had to happen. But how are you going to respond to it is the question. Are you going to break? Are you going to shatter? Or are you shatterproof? Whew. This is good. We talked about booked and busy, you know, it's all fun and things that sort. But other thing is to address the mental health part of it. Because that's the part too. And I'm going to be starting a mental health series. I don't know how it's going to work out, but the first one is going to be mental health and Jesus. Because I need Jesus and I need mental health. It's two different things, but they work together. I need Jesus to help me, but he uses people. And I got to look for people to be able to talk it out. I could talk to Jesus all day long. But sometimes we're not even listening to what he tells us. Yep. Yep. Marinate. Yep. I've been there too. Because I've been like, he got the wrong Jennifer. You're like, this girl is crazy. I am, and you made me this way. I'm going to get it together one day, Lord. I'm going to get it together. But that's how serious it is. So how important is mental health, mental wellness? I'm always going to be an advocate for it because it's important. And sometimes we ignore some things. And God has Christian therapists out there or regular therapists. And again, you take the meat, spit out the bone. You take the meat, hold the bone because you might need the bone later. You thought you needed it now. But a good bone is seasoned something real nice. I'm just saying. But how important is mental health?
It's very important. Like I am a huge advocate. I think honestly, if I did not focus on my mental health, I would say I'm one pit stop away from a crazy house, right? You know, because for me, I really had to understand the language of what I was experiencing and really understanding the signs and the triggers and the onsets of what that looked like. So prior to the sexual assault, my father had passed away from an explosion. I was 16 years old, and I actually heard the explosion, but I didn't know what it was. And when you experience something from that magnitude of hearing an explosion, feeling the ground shake, and see the black smoke, most of the time people would be like, how on earth are you in your right mind? And for me, after that, thunderstorms scared me. I've never had an issue with thunderstorms, but then after that, it was a reminder of what took place. So I had to seek therapy to figure out what is going on. Why is my body responding this way? What's happening? And that's when I recognized that I had PTSD. And so every time when, you see in the forecast a thunderstorm is happening and it comes with the ripple effect, my body would automatically go back to the day that my father passed. And I relived that traumatic experience over again. So I had to go through talk therapy. I really had to unpack why my nervous system was reacting that way and what could I do about it to change it, so that way I won't have to feel paralyzed by a thunderstorm the rest of my life. And so for me, it was really understanding that I had to really release and let go. For me, I was still holding on to that day and I didn't know how to let go of it. And for me, it was just trying to make sure that I would not miss the moments of my father before that experience. Because, after a while, when years and years, you may be like, am I ever going to forget how he sounded? Am I ever going to forget how he behaved? And so for me, because that was the last moment I had of him, I still kept trying to hold on to that. And if it weren't for a therapist telling me, okay, we need to make some changes and we need to figure out how could you hold on to the memories of him prior to that so that you won't feel like you've lost a part of him. And if you don't go to therapy, you don't know that, right? Because, and this is no knock to the church because, I love the Lord and, I go to church and all of that. But sometimes if you don't have people equipped to understand that, they're just going to say, oh, go to the altar, baby. Just pray about it, right? Or just praise your way through. You got it, right? But sometimes we need more than that. And even with the sexual assault experience, I went to a support group. I had to see other faces that really understood what I was carrying because I had guilt and shame with me for 12 years after that assault. And really trying to unlearn that it was not my fault. And, a lot of times that's not for discussion in ministry. It's just kind of like, how can we address that? Or what ways can we talk about intervention so that people don't feel isolated about their experience? And so I am really big on mental health. I think it's really important. I think we have to get past the stigma. Something wrong doesn't have to happen for you to go see a therapist. You could just be dealing with a lot of great changes in your life and you just want to be able to balance them out. You talk to somebody. And I think sometimes people feel like something traumatic has to happen in order for you to seek professional help.
Employee Assistance Program, EAP, is the most underutilized service so many jobs offer. If you feel like you could benefit from talking to somebody, reach out to your HR manager and ask, hey, do y'all offer employee assistance program? What it is you could talk to a counselor. It's not necessarily a lot of sessions, maybe like 3 is on the phone, but you get to talk out some things. And sometimes that simple thing is needed. You be like, oh, that was really good. I've had conversations with people that knew I did therapy, that didn't know I did therapy. They be like, oh my gosh, I really need to talk about that thing. Yep. You get to release some stuff. You don't have to carry it alone. You get to like, hey, that's why I did that, or that's why that happened. But if you need more than that, you can connect to get more services for that. And you said something so crucial that, yeah, go pray about it. Yes, we could pray about it, but there's some other parts that you have to do, and there's some work that's involved. And that's why the first of our mental health and series is going to be mental health and Jesus, because I need Jesus, but I need somebody to talk to too. And I was so grateful at our day of empowerment because it became an open space where people felt comfortable in sharing some things that were going on. And that's what we're about, a safe place where you can share different things that's happening and get that support. Because guess what? When Sue says something like, wait, I know what Sue talking about, that happened to me.
Right.
Happened such and such. How can I support them? So it's not even sometimes not directly you, but it may be how you can help somebody else. But it's so important for you to go through that process sometimes, when needed, when not needed, to just talk some things out. It's so relieving. It's so relaxing.
Yeah.
I always used to joke, because in school for it, we would do like groups, because
Yeah.
just had to have groups right in the process. And we be in there, we get to crying, we get to sharing. It's that real because it really touches some pieces that you didn't know was bothering you. It's that onion. You got the onion to make you cry, but it's so many different layers to that thing. And it's so important that we are conscious and aware of our mental health. I want us to be mentally well, friends. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be good. Another part you said, though, was people wonder, how are you in your right mind?
Yeah.
There are some things we have been through. I won't lie. When my mom was passing, I thought I would be in a white jacket.
Yeah.
I just knew I would be. Like, let me up, because she ain't going to make it. But had it not been for the grace of God and some people in my life to, like, help me process, talk through, and things of that sort, might not see the Jennifer you see today.
Yeah.
Why? Because life gets real. It's overwhelming. Things happen that we thought would not happen, but it happens to help us to help somebody else.
Yeah.
Who are you sharing your story with? And again, yes, discernment with it, because some people can't handle it. But we all been through something to be able to help somebody else. In a random conversation you can have with somebody and they're telling you about their journey, then you feel led to share, I went through blah, 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 blah. And they're like, what? Happy-go-lucky? Happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
She wasn't always happy-go-lucky. It was a process to get here. But since I got here, you too can get there too. Everybody's process is different. And we talked about feelings and how long you should stay there. Embrace your feelings. They are real. They are important. But we don't want to stay there so long that it gets us messed up where we can't keep going forward.
Right.
If it's stopping our growth, we're not eating like we should. We're not getting up to go to work like we should. We feel like we're becoming a hornet or whatever, like staying in the house and things of that sort, or just keep it to ourselves. And that's an opposite of what our personality normally was, because if something significant happened, something traumatic happened. Traumatic. And the interesting part about that traumatic is that sometimes things are such a norm that it's like, oh, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's fireworks or is that gunshots? Oh, either way, we good. What? Calm down. We can't always have that mindset, because sometimes it is a fire. And sometimes it is a gun.
Yeah.
We got to know how to duck and run and get out of situations, friends.
Okay.
We have to be alert of what it is that's going on.
Yeah.
That's the part of being able to talk to somebody. So good. What is something you want us to walk away with tonight?
Overall, I would say in order to be shatterproof, you have to recognize that it's your own race at your own pace, and to always give yourself grace.
That was good. She's a rapper. Y'all heard that? Your own race at your own pace. But it's so important, friends. Everybody's pace is different. Sometimes people are going through some things that happened some years ago, but it's taking them so long because it's been years and years of trying to get through it, and then something else happened or something of the same instance happened, and they're like, well, can I win?
Yeah.
We also have to give others grace. And connect them with a therapist. Tell them, hey, I got somebody you should talk to. I have a friend, she called me over one time for her girls. After a while, they was like, is this an intervention? But you do that out of love. You're trying to help them out. Yes, Melanie. In order to be shatterproof, you have to recognize that it's your own race and you go at your own pace. Remember to give yourself grace. Thank you so much for sharing that in the comments, friends. Y'all print that out and put that on your wall, because it is your own race. And somebody may have experienced the same thing you experienced, and it seemed like they getting through it way better, much quicker. Don't believe that. One, because how people show it is different. But two, don't compare to that. Because we'll get so caught up in how they're responding, like, well, I should be better than this. No, it still hurt. It still stung. It was not comfortable. It's real. But guess what, friends? We can make it through. Why? Therapy and Jesus. Y'all check me out what we're doing. It's going to be good. It's all come to me how it's going to be. It's going to be amazing. I just got to schedule it. I'm going to work it out. I'm going to work it out. Why? Because it's needed. Why?
Yes.
Because we can make it. You gotta be able to talk to somebody. Melanie, thank you so much for tuning in. I needed to hear this too, sis. This was good. Why? Because we are trying to be shatterproof. We gotta give ourselves grace.
Yes.
Therapy is good. Don't, I'm telling you, and don't nug it till you try it. Buck it till you try it. I don't know what that saying is. Don't, just cast it off till you try it. You'd be surprised. You go in there, you come out with your whole life together, like, yeah, I needed that. And then you tell somebody else, you know what, maybe we need to talk about that because I was talking to my therapist and we worked through that, And you can see some changes in some people too. I'm in my business, in their business, but when all right, yeah. You be sure to reach out to Dr. Tasha. She has an amazing book, Shatterproof. She has some other books and things. And if that's of interest to you, be sure to follow and connect to get some good resources. Oh, this was so good. I thank you so much for joining us tonight. I thank you so much for sharing your heart tonight. And I pray that somebody was blessed tonight, that they heard something that they needed to hear to encourage and strengthen them and inspire them to keep on going in this journey called life.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really had a great time catching up with you, fellow Hawk, and just having a well-rounded conversation. It's definitely needed.
Yes. Again, thank you so very much, and may you have a great evening. Oh, goodness, this was so good. Tonight we had Dr. Tasha Wilson, Shatterproof. Friends, so good. I hope that you really did enjoy this evening. Be sure to remember our quote of the day. Sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. And that's by Marilyn Monroe. Again, sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. And it's so good because sometimes we feel like that was a good thing, but God had something way better. It reminds me of the meme or the video where it was at a baseball game, and the person gave her a small teddy bear. She was excited and grateful for it, but took that bat and then gave a bigger one. Took that bat, gave a bigger one. And sometimes God got something bigger for you. Guess what? We just gotta wait the process. Gotta trust the process. Seek Him to know what we should be doing. Again, I do this every day because I be like, God, is this your will? I know I want it, but is that what you want for me? Or maybe I don't really want it, but you want that for me? Okay, if that's what you want, do I have the grace to be able to do it? Do I have the capacity to be able to manage it? Such a good episode. Friends, I want to apologize. I did not realize that next Monday is a holiday, and I scheduled Dr. Chandra Williams, and I am so sad because it's a holiday. So I am in the process of trying to rebook her because her thing was Head Start, and I can't tell you how excited I was and am to have her. I'm gonna figure out how we're gonna work it out, because we are going to be taking a little, gonna be taking a little break. Friends, we will be back in July of 2022. We're going to just take a pause to be able to get some things together. Why? Because I can't preach self-care and not do self-care myself. I have a gazillion hats and I need to take a moment so I don't overwhelm myself. But I don't know if I could wait that long. I didn't do good last time I took a break. So if I could find somebody that wants to come on and talk to me next month, you might see me a couple times. We'll see. I don't know. It's possible though, because I do enjoy this. And I hope that you do too. Again, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you that attended our Day of Empowerment. It was such an amazing day. Our recap is available on our YouTube channel. And I want to give a quick shout out to Mama Wanda and Mom Betty who came and supported. I can't tell you how much I love these two ladies. Mama Wanda, I'm not sure what side she's on your screen, but she's on one side and Mom Betty is on the other side for my selfie cam pics. It was such a good day. I am so grateful to everyone that attended. So again, head to our YouTube channel, search Chosen Counselors, and be sure to subscribe and watch that video. It was pretty cool. I also shared at a Day of Hope that I will be coming out with a Chosen for This planner and journal. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm not telling y'all when because it'd be just my luck that I don't make that deadline and I don't want no problems with nobody. But we got those buttons as well. So you order a book, you'll get a button. So I'll let you know when that is being released. But that Chosen for This. Let me go back to that again. Chosen for this. Period. Friends, we were chosen for this. Okay? We were chosen to do what that we were assigned to do. You know, it's some things that you're doing in the world and you're making a big difference. You was chosen to do it. People like, how she do that? How he do that? Why? Because you was chosen to do it. Everybody's not chosen to go in the kitchen. Can I get an amen? Amen. Everybody's not chosen to teach you even in school. You know, you had those good teachers and those teachers that was just there. I don't know if it was for the paycheck because they say that they don't get. Let's pray for their income that they do a little bit better for our teachers because they're doing good. But some people are chosen to do these things and some people aren't. But guess what, friends? We are chosen for this. And that planner and journal is going to remind you, encourage you, and keep you uplifted because you are chosen for such a time as this. So as shared, I won't be back next week. I'm going to work that out with Dr. Chandra to try to get her because that's going to be a whole something else. When I do get her, please, Lord, let it work out. I'm going to try. But I mostly appreciate each and every one of you for trusting me to bring you some good people each and every week. I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for liking. I thank you for sharing. And I'm going to come back and say thank you to each and every one of you because I do appreciate it. It's because of you that others get to hear the good things that we're doing over here at Chosen Counselors, which is bringing the community to you. So again, I think that's all that I have. Let me see what's in the comments. You are on point like a sniper. I'm not sure that might have been for whoever that was for. Yes, be on point. Whoever it was, be on point. Melissa, this was good. Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Nicole, thank you so much for tuning in, Sunshine. Mama Wanda, it was an awesome day. It really was so empowering. And I can't tell y'all how encouraged I was. You know, I quit a gazillion times, but I did not fail to show up. And I'm so grateful that I did not fail to show up on the day. But I even had the vendors coming to me like, when you doing this again? The vendors was participants. You hear me? They say, you doing this again? You got to do it 2 days. What? So friends, it's going to be good. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. But if you do, I guess that's what you do. I can't say nothing, but can't say I didn't try to help us. Why? Because I love us that much. Rashida, I needed this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to replay it and watch it back to get those nuggets. It was so many good things. Share tonight that part of being unstuck and things of that sort. And so many nuggets. Y'all gotta watch it again. Hey, Sabrina, this was good. Thank you so much for tuning in, Sunshine. I hope all is well. Friends, I hope you all had an amazing day. I hope that you remember that you are loved, you are cared for, you are appreciated. And if nobody told you today, know that I love you and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for spending this evening with me. I'll see you back in July. Maybe I'll be in June. I don't know, friends, because again, I love y'all. And I don't want to miss the opportunity to be able to help somebody because that's what it's all about, helping somebody else. So I love y'all for real. Stay tuned for what we got coming next. Have a good evening. I love you.
Friends, we thank you for joining Jen Cares this week. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Unable to watch us live? Be sure to find us on your favorite podcast platform. You can also visit our website, chosencounselors.com. That's chosen with a Z, so that you can stay in the know and most of all, never miss a show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you sharing it with a friend. Most of all, be sure to tune in for our next episode next Monday at 8 p.m. right here as we specialize in bringing the community to you.